if you grow up with parents who exploit you, then you have a big problem. Are my parents immoral, or is everyone like that? Are my parents immoral, or is everyone like that? So, how did I escape what my parents did to me? Because I did not ascribe their behavior to anything other than their own individual choices. Oh, you got to get the deep drilling of this, man. I did this in a call-in yesterday. I'll release it at some point with a fellow who had gone through a terrible divorce. So my mother was violent and mystical, and is, I'm sure, still. And why was she that way? Why was she that way? Now, if I were to say, that's female nature, well, I can never fall in love with a woman, right? If I say, well, that's how parents are, then I would be giving myself permission to be an a-hole parent. If I say, well, it was capitalism that forced her to try to work, well, then I turn into a totalitarian socialist and endanger the lives of hundreds of millions of people. And in fact, we'll get tens of millions of people killed, which is what happens under socialism and communism. If I were to say, well, she was a single mother and, you excuses, or my father betrayed her and she was a victim and blah, 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 then I'm going to have a soft spot and a sympathetic spot for abusive women because they're victims, right? So if I am going to try and ascribe any causality to my mother's immorality, then that shit sticks to me like burrs on an elk and follows me wherever I go and grows in my soul until it eats my soul whole. Straight up facts. So if you grow up with selfish parents, you have a question. Are my parents immoral as individuals, or is there some external causality to what they do? Now, the whole point of free will is there is no external causality. That's the point of free will. If it's external causality, it's not free will, right? You can choose to push someone off a cliff. That's a choice. That person cannot choose whether or not to fall. They don't sort of scamper in the air Flintstone style. Picky, 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 picky. So, are my parents immoral as the result of some external category? External, well, they were stressed. Okay. So if you say people can be immoral when they're stressed, or that's an explanation or an excuse, what happens to you when you're stressed? You could be an asshole to people. My parents were bad because they were stressed. Oh no, I'm stressed. Okay, well, right. Permission slips to others are command orders to you. Whatever you excuse in others, you order for yourself. Excuses for others are train tracks for you. You lose your free will. Because you're taking away free will from others by giving them external causes for their decisions, and therefore you have destroyed your own free will, and you become an easily programmed NPC. You learn your ABCs, and you learn your NPCs. So if your parents are selfish, can you say, my parents made the choice to be selfish, it's individual to them, it's not in the category of male, female, parent, modern life, capitalism, determinism, external factors, stress, maybe they had medical problems, maybe the financial problems. No! They made the choice. They made the choice. They made the choice. It's specific to them. And it speaks to nothing wider or deeper or more broad or more general about humanity as a whole. It was them as choices. So my mother made bad choices. My father made bad choices. It was specific to them. It speaks nothing to humanity, marriage, masculinity, femininity, stress, the modern world, capitalism, It speaks nothing to any of those things. Nothing. Nothing. So if you have selfish parents, what's your choice? Do you say, my parents made bad choices and they chose to be selfish and it was specific and individual to them? Ooh, that's painful. If your parents were corrupt, violent, neglectful, abusive, immoral, looking at them and saying, you are bad people making bad choices. Well, of course, what's the other external factor that people always claim? And you've heard it a million times on these shows and call-in shows and other places. What is the other external factor that people, it's the most common external factor that people claim as to why their parents did bad things? Why did mommy and daddy do bad things? What is the external factor? Yes, the most common explanation for immoral parenting is, I was a wild kid, I was a bad kid, I provoked them, I didn't listen, I fell in with a bad crowd, I didn't study at school. Right? The most common explanation as to why parents are immoral is that you, the child, were bad. Right? Now, you, the child, were bad. I was a difficult child. I was a difficult child. So the funny thing is, this person as well, Runnable, that means a bit of a troll, right? Now spends his time on the web seeking universal love. So, do you think I've been successful in just being loved by the world, if what it is that I do? Doesn't everyone just love me so much? Because, I just clearly, I'm just needing the universal love because I wasn't loved by mommy and daddy. So clearly I've been excellent out here trying to get universal love. You can just read what people say about me and you can see all the love come pouring in. Yeah, people say I gave my mother such a hard time as a kid. I didn't listen. I was a wild kid and all of that, right? Why was my mother bad? Well, my mother was only reacting to my badness, which made her good. She was trying to control and manage my badness, right? And that's the problem, right? And that's the problem. I was the problem. My mother wasn't the problem. So then it's not my mother who was selfish and abusive. It was me who was bad and disobedient.